Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. We all know that the hurricane came on October 28th, a date that I will never forget, and I'm sure thousands, if not millions, will never forget. It just didn't hit Jamaica, it hit a few other Caribbean countries as well. So they are in the same plight as we are. It's now November 15th. So we're going to say it's about how many days? Maybe 2 weeks and a little bit. Hurricane Melissa hit Jamaica. And some people are in shelters. These are not really actual shelters. They are like, makeshift shelters. They are usually schools or churches or community centers. So they're using these buildings as shelters. I think the Prime Minister is looking to create proper shelters, but we'll get to that in another video. So these buildings that they're staying in, we all know that there are issues with some of the buildings. They don't have showers. That creates a problem. Some of the sanitation in these facilities are not the best because they were having problems. It's like, the bathroom facilities, they can't use them because the water situation, they're not able to, properly use the facilities. Some don't have showers because they are not really made for that purpose. So you can just imagine the condition that they're in. I saw some of the shelters without roofs, some without windows. There were also a few reports saying that some of the shelters did not have doors. Hopefully by now, those things are fixed at the shelter. If you're at a shelter and the shelter is still not repaired, you can put a comment below and the name of the shelter so we can highlight it in our next video. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness did do a speech in Parliament about, the plans that are forthcoming, plans that are in motion to fix the homeless situation. I'm going to focus on that piece of the speech that he gave in Parliament, and that was about a week or so ago. According to what the Prime Minister said, they were doing like a scientific data-driven study to see how many homes were affected. And the figure he gave was 116,000 structures were affected, not necessarily homes. We don't know how many homes because I guess when you're in the area doing they're doing it from a drone situation and collecting data that way. Sometimes it's hard to tell which one is a business place as opposed to a home, right? So it is structures. That's the way it is classified. So they've mainly focused on St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, and Manchester. Those are the parishes that had the most impact from Hurricane Melissa. They outlined a couple things. We're not going to go into those ones too much. I'll just touch on it. Emergency sheltering, repairs to roofs. I guess the JDF would be supporting them in that way. And of course, other aid agencies and tarpaulin support, roofing support. And of course, emergency sheltering to stabilize and repair. When are the survivors of the hurricane going to be, helped with homes or home repair? If you have an NHD home, it's a different situation because NHD homes, they are insured, right? So that would be a different approach, right? So for the majority of the people who were affected, the Prime Minister is saying that he has handed over to Mr. MONTAQUE, so he's a member of Parliament. He would be leading a recovery program. So it's a resilient housing and recovery program. That's what it's called. Mr. MONTAQUE has been asked to do this. Hopefully he has gathered his team and they're working right now to resolve this issue, right? Because people are without homes. So the Prime Minister did not give a time frame. He said he wants it to be done very soon. So they'll be issuing homes. So what the Prime Minister is alluding to is that there's a couple of options. They'll be doing prefab homes or container homes, depending on the situation, I guess, and the need. So Those are the two housing solutions that they'll be looking at. So it's not for everyone. He said for some people, that's what they're looking at. So they're going to be doing an assessment and, probably interviewing people to see if they qualify. So, when you get the container homes or the prefab homes, you can't just go and put them anywhere like, on a piece of land, especially if the person who suffered the loss did not own that piece of land. So what will happen now? They will have to probably, figure it out from there. Concrete structure on a land that you didn't own. The owner has to give permission, just like the new social housing program. If the person does not own the land, they would have to get a letter from the owner saying that they're giving permission for them to build on the property and a lot of things, right? A letter, formal letter, stamped and all that. So I guess it would be the same here. So let's see how they figure it out, because there's something that they're doing. It's called the beneficiary verification. So they want to know who are the beneficiaries, who is going to be benefiting from these homes. So they're going to be very selective. They're going to make sure that the person qualifies for this, true beneficiaries, I guess. What the Prime Minister is saying, there's going to be some homes coming. We don't know how many. We don't know who will be getting them. I'm assuming that they will be given out in Westmoreland, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth, the three parishes that were mainly affected. So I don't see any new announcements since the Prime Minister said that, but he did say that he wanted the process to be very speedy. No time frame was given. I saw this video about the cost of the containers and all of that. Hopefully, if the government is going to be purchasing these containers, they'll be getting a big discount, because it would be a lot of these that they'll be purchasing, or prefab homes, or they're going to do a mixture of both. So let's see what happens. And I'm going to be playing what the Prime Minister is saying at the end of the video. Like I've been doing container videos. I think the first one I did was about 2 years ago. I focus on homes mainly, and now and again I put in a history video, but my main thing is talking about homes, or sometimes I talk about social issues, something affecting citizens and all that. Glad that they're saying that they'll be doing it. Let's see how fast this can be done, because the citizens are still out there. A lot of them are not in the shelters, because for one reason or the other, they can't locate a shelter. The shelter is too far from their homes, or the shelter was leaking or had some damage. No shelter manager, no resources in the shelters in terms of food or any help or anything like that. So they decided to just stay in their homes, or go back to their homes, or what is left of their homes. And we know that a lot of people just don't like to be in a crowded situation as well. So a lot of them will not go into those schools and community centers. You can see them putting up, all types of little shelter things to stay under. It's not safe out there. We want our people to be off the roadsides, off the rubble, and back into some type of shelter. The Prime Minister said it would be rapid, but while they are waiting, any thought of opening the National Stadium while they're waiting?
The Montague has been asked to the National Geospatial Intelligence Capacity. The government has, for the first time in our history, executed a rapid, high-resolution national housing damage assessment. This effort, coordinated through the National Spatial Data Management Branch and supported by international technology partners, analyzed more than 428,000 buildings across Jamaica. Satellite data and drone verification indicate that approximately 116,000 structures sustained severe or catastrophic damage, concentrated in Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, and Manchester. These findings are now guiding targeted relief and reconstruction planning across communities. This is a big change, Madam Speaker. In Beryl, we didn't have this capacity, but we have since invested in, and we are now able to have more definitive and scientifically driven data as to the extent of the damage. This now will help us in budgeting, and it will help us in allocating resources. We are now transitioning from emergency sheltering to stabilization and repair. The ministry is conducting field verification in priority communities with housing support teams working alongside the JDF, ADPEM and local authorities. As access is restored to additional communities in the West, we will complete our beneficiary verification, accelerate roofing support, and deploy building materials, tarpaulins, and rapid repair kits to ensure safety for and habitation for our citizens. The data now being integrated into the post-disaster needs assessment will shape a resilient housing and building recovery program. Well, Minister Montague has been asked to lead the process of determining the kinds of housing solutions and how they will be deployed, because we have to utilize new building technologies, including prefabricated and containerized solutions to deploy rapidly.
Some people be getting repairs done in their homes. Some would qualify for a container prefab home, and basically maybe the rest has to help themselves. But I don't think they're going to have homes for every single person that lost a home in Hurricane Melissa.